Hello, welcome once again to my channel. Yesterday, I posted a video and I discussed some things regarding my conversion to Orthodoxy. Unfortunately, that video is an hour and like 3 minutes long, so it's pretty long. And a lot of people are not going to sit through that. So for this, I am going to attempt to try to distill that down into a considerably shorter video. So, I converted to Orthodoxy. And I think the first question most people have when they hear that is, what is Orthodoxy? So, I've heard people explain it as Catholicism without the Pope. And any Orthodox person will tell you that's not accurate. And they are correct. It's not. However, to a Protestant, that's probably a somewhat decent explanation. Because it is a liturgical form of worship, and it is, you have bishops and priests, and you call your priest father. You do pray to saints and to Mary. And all of these are things that I never believed in growing up. I was raised Protestant and specifically Baptist. And in the tradition that I was raised in, that type of thing is considered to be effectively, how shall I put this? I mean, you might as well be worshiping the devil in the eyes of some of the churches that I went to with regard to praying to saints and to Mary and asking for intercession that way. It really is a night and day change from going from Protestantism to Orthodoxy. So I guess another question that comes up is, so why did you convert? Well, I already had the beard. No, but seriously, there was a lot. And what it comes down to is, over the course of reading scriptures and studying the Bible, I came to believe that Protestantism was not correct. That all forms of Protestantism were incorrect. That probably offends people. Sorry, not trying to. It is what it is. I do believe that. I will stand by that assertion. But I'm not doing that to upset or offend anyone. If you are a Protestant, I love you. Not trying to push you away, hurt your feelings, anything like that. But over the course of my study and scripture reading, I have come to that conclusion. So, when you come to the conclusion that Protestantism is incorrect, then what are you left with? Well, you're left with Orthodoxy or Roman Catholicism. I had previously investigated Roman Catholicism, and they have some dogmatic teachings that I don't think hold up. And I didn't think that they held up before I knew about Orthodoxy. And Orthodoxy would also say that those things don't hold up. It's really interesting. A lot of the Protestant reformers' issues that they had could have been solved by returning to Orthodoxy, because originally it was one church, and there was a split. There were multiple little things. The most common thing that is given is the Great Schism of 1054, which is this somewhat arbitrary date. Not entirely, but sort of. There was more things than just the exchange that people talk about that happened in 1054. There were a few other things. There was actually one about 200 years earlier that got resolved by a council where there was a break in communion, but then they came back together. Anyway, at one point the church was one, and for the first 1,000 years, essentially. And Rome broke with the other patriarchates. Romans will tell you that the others changed, but if you come at it from outside like I did, and you look at it objectively, you had 5 and one changed. So which one broke away, right? Because the others continued to do things in the same way. And those others have had issues with each other here and there too. But Rome broke away from the other four. They probably don't like hearing that, but I'm sorry, that's subjectively true. It really is. So, in the course of researching and looking into things, I discovered Orthodoxy, and I reached out to a priest in my area, had a nice long conversation with him on the phone, ended up going to the church and checking it out. The worship was way different than what I was used to, which also, I didn't get to touch on this in the other video. Worship, I think, is a big problem in Protestant churches, because to me, when I would go to Protestant churches, I would look around and I'd be like, where's the worship? Like a Protestant service, you have, Christian music that is effectively, it's like poppy, soft rock-ish type music, and then you have a sermon. And I'm like, where's the worship? Where's the worship? The sermon is effectively, I'm going to use harsh language, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but the sermons of Protestant churches are just nothing more than glorified Bible studies where some dude is telling you what he thinks about the Bible. I mean, that's really what it boiled down to. I didn't think that way at first. That's a conclusion I eventually came to. That was something that popped into my head. And again, I didn't say that in the video I made yesterday either. It just didn't. I didn't get a chance because I was trying to explain a whole bunch of things. And right now, I'm just trying to distill it down. So I had verses that challenged my ideas on once saved, always saved, on the practice of tradition, the role of Scripture, authority of the church, and apostolic succession, which I didn't get to touch on apostolic succession in the previous video, so I might make one at another point about that. But apostolic succession, I think, is an important thing, and that also led me to the Orthodox Church. And so really, effectively, what it boils down to, and I will end with this. In researching the history of the church, I discovered that the church from the 1st century, from the 2nd century, from the 3rd century, the original church still existed, and it is the Orthodox Church. So why would I not want to be in the actual church founded by Jesus? I mean, ultimately, that's really what it comes down to. I had to go through a lot to understand that was the case, and to figure that out, and to find biblically that was the case. But ultimately, I did, and so I converted and became Orthodox. And so, if you're a Protestant friend or family member of mine, and you're shocked at what I'm saying, feel free to reach out. If you're a friend or family member of mine, you want to argue with me, feel free. Y'all know I like to argue. If I don't know you and you're seeing this on YouTube, you can attempt to argue. I probably will not engage. If you would like to reach out and you have questions about Orthodoxy, I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. I am not in any way trying to catechize you. I am not a priest. I am not a spiritual father. I am not attempting to preach Orthodoxy to people. I am not in a position to do any of that. I am simply a Christian working out his own salvation with fear and trembling, and attempting to give a justification for my faith. And so we'll call this the short version of I converted to Orthodoxy.